future of radio is here. New era, TT Radio, Net Radio. Let's go.
Well, of course, it's a very special good morning to you, everybody, wherever you may be, and we welcome you to New Era TT Radio. It is time for exploring Buddhist concepts, and this is where we are joined by our host in between this session here, Mr. Cassie Senghor. Cassie, good day to you.
Good day, Sir Charles. Hope you're hearing me clearly.
I'm hearing you very well, actually.
Right, okay, so there are days when things go right and there are days when things do not go right. And, just as I had completed or finalized my thoughts in terms of what I want to present today, I heard your motivation, which is quite good, quite along the lines somewhere along the lines of what I proposed to say this morning. Because this morning I want to speak a little bit about karma. Which has you and, good morning to all the listeners. And I don't know if the viewers or whatever the listeners, local and abroad, the world over, welcome to your radio, TT. And I also want to say I'm very thankful to be among the other presenters, Garth, Steve, Terria, if I could call her that, if I have permission, Miss George, Terria and George, and of course, professional journalist and interviewer Tony Fraser, who we both lived, I don't know if he still does, in Belmont. And one time he hinted that we might be relatives in the sense of my father, I think, and I think they were relatives, and kind of way, I'm not sure, but his name is also Fraser. When I mentioned it to him, he kind of hinted that. I feel very good and very comfortable that I'm in good company, so to speak. And I could vision one of these days we meeting physically and, having a nice little chat about what we do on radio. Radio is such a powerful media by which to disseminate knowledge and to encourage discussion and so on and so forth. And of course, I back up real, sincere, definite with what others have said concerning your mastership, Pastor Charles, in conducting your programs, And I really want to commend you about that, and I think that is reason number one why you will succeed, the masterful way and balanced way in which you conduct your programs. So hats off to you, and I personally, on behalf of our group also, or Buddhist group in TND, want to wish you well, wish that your successes grow and grow. So,
thank you very much, Cassie.
I will say, you're welcome. This morning, as I was saying earlier, just as I finished, my thought processes about what would I present today, there you were, with your motivation, more or less paralleling, what I wanted to say. But we normally begin, well, let us begin, let me say, with a recap of the breathing meditation 8. There are 3 types of breathing meditation that I've used from a book called How to Grow Happiness. How to Grow Your Own Happiness by Senghor, who I interviewed here when she was here earlier this year. Forgive me with the cough because I'm in Central here. I do not have air conditioned, and my windows and so on are, open, kind of thing, and there's a lot of Sahara dust around and all of that. So, not making any excuses, that is just the nature of things. And so if I do some coughing, please understand what's happening around me. So breathing meditation 8 says, focus your attention on the coming and going of your breath. Don't get lost in conjecture. Don't start making up things, trying to manipulate, thinking that I want the meditation to go in this way or that way. I've already stated that meditation is something you allow more than something you do. Of course, you prepare with a good posture, especially for breathing meditation. But if you are not at this present time seated and able to be in a posture, mindfulness will do. So just be mindful of where you are, whether you are standing, sitting down, lying down, walking, what have you, just be mindful of where the body is and try to bring the mind into the body so that you are more present than straying in your thoughts. Presence is very helpful. This is what we try to do here in the meditation. This is called shamatha, meaning that we are calming the mind. So we want to just calm the mind, and I'll speak more to that a little later. Am I supposed to breathe like this, or faster, or deeper? Breathe normally without forcing, and be aware. Count your breaths. Whenever you realize you are following your thoughts, bring your attention back and start counting again. Try to get to 10. If you succeed, unlikely at first, start counting again. But if you are counting, if you happen to be fortunate enough to be seated upright and balanced and able to feel your feet on the ground and your body weight on the chair and hands on your legs and that sort of thing, in a good enough posture, your head upright, ears over your shoulder and that sort of thing. If you are able to do that in this present moment as we speak, all well and good. If you succeed, if you say unlikely at first, in the counting to 10, it's unlikely at first because if you're a rank beginner, you're going to notice a bombardment of thoughts that are coming in, like a tsunami, like, where did these thoughts come from? Well, they come and they go, and that is how we normally live our lives, thoughts coming and going, many of them. And we might choose one or two to chase after, or one or two may overwhelm us, and we go with them. The third pointer in breathing meditation here is when you bring your attention back, do it in a relaxed way. Don't fight the thoughts, don't follow them, just let them go. The bringing back is in fact the meditation in a way, in the sense that you are coming back to the present, or you are going forward to the present, whichever way your desire, so to speak, is to be in the present moment, not dragging chains of the past behind you, or trying to pull chains from the future towards you. You just simply want to be in the present moment, counting your thoughts, 1 to 10, either in 1, 2, out 2, in 1, out 2, or in, out 1, whichever you prefer. And then, you're going towards, you're trying to reach 10. But when thoughts interrupt, you will certainly notice, and you are asked to come back to 1. I say certainly notice, but sometimes people reach 15, 20, not realizing that they have gone past that, which is like, you fell asleep, you're dreaming, you just kind of counted, without being mindful that you have reached 10 and you should go back to 1. So when you bring your attention back, do it in a relaxed way. Don't fight the thoughts, don't follow them, just let them go. At the end, inhale deeply, and as you exhale, come back. Stretch your legs and arms, stand up slowly with no rush. So that is breathing meditation A, which we have done already, but which of course I will be repeating again and again, as we begin our programs, and also going on to other types of meditation where we can meditate on songs and so on. So what Sir Charles was saying had to do with in his motivation, had to do with how we spend the day tomorrow, and it occurred to me, as I said, this was prior to hearing him, that tomorrow, which I only found out this morning, would you believe it? Only this morning I realized that tomorrow is a holiday. And there are so many things I wanted to do before Saturday, which now are no longer possible because, tomorrow is a holiday, so I can't go to the places that I wanted to. I just have to forget about that, try to see if I could go to some on Saturday and others on Monday. But coming to the question of the karma, which also is something relevant to the discussion on about the man with the gun and the firearm, and I did it on a licensed firearm and that sort of thing. Well, I have a kind of very curt, matter-of-factish opinion about guns, in that I think that guns do not protect people. I don't think I've ever read where a gun, or owning a gun, or using a gun has protected anyone. This is the case in point with the man there is very instructive, in that, he has been sentenced. I think, yeah, he has been sentenced. And even though he did what he did, here he is now in a bad way, and we are discussing around it in terms of to what extent should he be punished. So he's still in a bad way, so to speak, from the use of a firearm, which we think protects us, But that's a very deep discussion, a wider discussion, which we can't broach in its totality in this program, which I really don't intend to broach in a wide way on this program. But just to reiterate that I do not believe, this is just me personally, I'm not saying that this is a Buddhist concept or it's a thing. But I do believe that guns are not there, do not protect people. They do very, owning a gun is a very dangerous thing and very harmful to oneself and to others. So a bit about karma, which could relate to that. I'm reading here from the other book. I normally use 2 books for my presentations. So I'm reading on the book this one is called What the Buddha Taught by Walpola Rahula. And I've chosen to read this little section here that says, the theory of karma should not be confused with so-called moral justice or reward and punishment. The idea of moral justice or reward and punishment arises out of the conception of a supreme being, a God, who sits in judgment, who is a lawgiver, and who decides what is right and wrong. The term justice is ambiguous and dangerous, and in its name, more harm than good is done to humanity. The theory of karma is a theory of cause and effect, of action. Actually, these are my words of actually karma. Strictly speaking, means action. The word itself means action. The theory of karma is a theory of cause and effect, of action and reaction. It is a natural law which has nothing to do with the idea of justice or reward and punishment. Every volitional action produces its effects or result, meaning that everything we do will have a result. I'm speaking now, this will have a result. When the program is done, I may have to take a little walk down the road. That will have its result. And so on and so forth. Whatever you do will have a result. Every volitional action produces its effects or results. If a good action produces good effects, and a bad action, bad effects, it is not justice or reward or punishment meted out by anybody or any power sitting in judgment on your action. But this is in virtue of its own nature, its own law. This is not difficult to understand. But what is difficult is that according to the karma theory, the effects of a volitional action may continue to manifest. The effects, plural, of volitional action may continue to manifest themselves even in a life after death. All right, so he goes on to talk about what death, explain what death is according to Buddhism, but we're not quite going there, you know. So in that little passage there, we can see, you know, that if we care to, if we want to be honest with ourselves, that we cause our own, we create our own karma there. So, you know, so to speak. Either willfully or unwittingly, as the case might be, we create our own karma. As a matter of fact, we have a set, as you may come to know if you don't already, that a lot of Buddhist concepts, a lot of Buddhist teachings are couched in lists and numbers. They help, I believe, I know they help me to remember many things, you know, many things that I can call upon in times of need, especially, you know. And we have one set of things that we call the four reminders. And the third of the reminders is karma. And within that reminder, all four of them are, you know, comprised of about 3 to 4 sentences. So to paraphrase the third reminder, which is on karma, it is said that because I create karma, I will refrain from negative actions and devote myself to carrying out positive ones. It's not really carrying out, but I think that will do for now, you know. Performing the virtuous actions rather than negative ones, because we create our own karma. Now, what I want to do is to read a story here, which I think might be relevant, then, you know, and which I think might be helpful, that comes out of Buddhist story time, if you will, you know, be told by the Buddha himself, you know, many years ago, and so on. So it says, well, before I get to the story, let me just read a little preamble to what is said here in the book, How to Grow Your Own Happiness. The sub-headline in the chapter says, nothing is as good or as bad as it seems. When something good happens, you can feel ecstatic, but when a difficulty arises, we can hit rock bottom. We tend to take everything very seriously and be either very happy or very apprehensive. The truth is, however, that things are never as good or as bad as they seem. All positive situations have drawbacks, and all negative situations have qualities. What's more, an apparently negative situation can protect us from greater danger, while a positive situation can expose us to painful and unexpected consequences. It's not uncommon for people to win the lottery and ruin their lives because of it, just as it's not uncommon for accidents, illnesses, redundancies, or separations to have unexpected and positive developments in our lives. Before we make our mind up about something that happens, we should wait for what comes next. This story illustrates that wisdom. A very poor widower had only two precious things in life, a son and a horse. When the horse disappeared one day, the villagers were very worried and came to see him. Well, look at that. What hard luck. How will you manage without your horse? What a tragedy. But the old man shrugged his shoulders, smiled and said, let's see, let's wait and see. I'm sure we will manage. After a day or two, the horse returned, bringing with it a wild mare. The people of the village got very excited. They came up to the old man and congratulated him. You have been very lucky after all. We are very happy about what's happened to you. Now your life will change. But the old man shrugged his shoulders, smiled and said, let's wait and see. Who knows what else might happen. A few more days passed. While trying to tame the wild mare, his son fell and broke his leg. The people of the village were distraught. And now, what will become of you? Without your son to help you, that was bad luck. Again, the gentleman shrugged his shoulders, smiled and said, let's wait and see. We will find a way. A few days later, the boy was still in bed. The country went to war, and the king's envoys came to recruit every able-bodied man in the village. All the boys left, except for the boy who had a broken leg. The people came back to the old man. You have been so lucky. Your son didn't go to war, but he will always stay with you. And he, as usual, shrugged his shoulders, smiled and said, let's wait and see. Who knows what life has in store for us? This attitude is not indifferent resignation, but serene wisdom. It comes from observing the ups and downs of life and realizing that nothing is as good or as bad as it seems at first glance. What's more, it is common for things to seem worse than they really are. With a little calmness and patience, we will see that over time, things either get better or we learn to live with them. Sometimes it's enough to sleep on it so that the next day, everything seems a little less bleak. So, that story there, of course, illustrates some patience, some wisdom, and not going off the hook. And I think so, Charles, as I was saying, it paralleled my thoughts as concerning tomorrow, because as you know, on long weekends, we have a lot of good things happening, and we have a lot of not good things happening. Some of the good things might include visits, by families, to each other and so on, sharing of food, going to the beach, all these things that we know we do here in Trinidad on a long weekend. We might even take a flight out of the country just for the weekend and then return to our jobs by Monday, safe and in one piece and all of that. but we are also very aware of the number of happenings that are not good things. You know, we have we know them, and although I kind of hesitate to go over them, let me just kind of point towards some of them. We have the house breakings, we have the snatchings of purses and chains and all of that. We have murders. We have accidents which are either willful or really accidents, and you know what I mean, that kind of thing. And one day we hear, oh, this happened, the other thing happened, over the weekend this happened. We're not wishing for any of those things, of course, to happen. We don't want anybody to drown or to be in a fatal or near fatal accident. We want to wish everybody well and hope that everybody arrives on the other side of the weekend in one piece. But we do know that things otherwise do happen. And we are accustomed, in a manner of speaking, to hearing about them after when the holiday is gone, and then we have to say, over the weekend, so and so happened, there were two this, there were three that, unfortunate incidents, as the case might be, and we lament, and life goes on. Those of us who are on the other side, who arrive safely, can only listen and wonder and discuss and call into Sir Charles's program, and there will be things that come up which will be spoken about and attended to and that kind of thing. So my thinking prior to hearing Sir Charles's motivation had to do with me thinking that instead of being idle, some of us might just be idle tomorrow. The thing, you might just want to rock back and watch a television and go out and play cards or what have you. That we can occupy it, especially those of us who are those of us who live by ourselves and so on, might be lonely and might want companionship, or you might want to do this. We could go on the phone and text someone who we haven't spoken to for a long time, or call up someone we haven't spoken to for a long time and wish them well and find out how the family is going and that sort of thing. In other words, finding what I spoke to just now, referred to just now, as virtuous things. The things I mentioned may not be virtuous in themselves, but certainly good things to do, rather than either idle by, do nothing, or find oneself, as they say, the devil finds room for idle people or what have you, that kind of thing, that idea, of idleness bringing about unfortunate incidents. So here we are approaching Indian arrival day, and I think I heard Sir Charles suggest, a even broader activity, which is that of understanding our state in this country here, of ethnicities, how the various ethnic groups arrived or were brought into this country, and the fact that we have we make attempts to live together. This is sometimes fractious, and that some insist that that should not be so, and some are trying their best to see how they could live that out. Like I remember in the 70s, the National Drug Action Committee saying Indians and Africans unite, and there was supposed to be this march into Port of Spain, and that sort of thing, which really didn't materialize. Nevertheless, in that broader context, the idea of uniting is a good one. But the question remains is are we going to work on ourselves? Whether we say we have to work on ourselves first, or we have to work on ourselves while working towards such unity. I do not know your circumstances, where you live, how you live, and so on and so forth. But as for myself, I live in an Indian community, and I have I'm surrounded really by Indian folk, and I would like to think that we do all right. We do well together. So far, so good. I've been here for over, we're nearing about 7 years or so, or more, and I've been here, still here, and moving on. In your community, what is it like? I've lived in Maloney, and I know what that is like also. I grew up in Belmont, I know what that is like also. So that I have had varied experiences with living in living there, and in living among various groups. So coming back to the story, one does not know what will happen next, so that the unfortunate may have silver lines, and the fortunate may have dark clouds, as the case might be. What is advised, suggested, recommended is that we take our time, not to judge, but to have a look at what is happening in front of us. And what helps us to see more clearly what is in front of us is meditation. And I suggest strongly that if you use the YouTube that follows, and you have listened to the breathing meditation aid, that you could follow it from the recording and see how best, 5 to 10 minutes. If you find 10 a bit stretchy, a bit, testing your patience, so to speak, use 5 minutes in the morning and 5 in the evening. Use a regular timing. Well, find a nice little space. People often recommend, first thing in the morning, say your prayers first thing in the morning, kind of way. But then you can do something like what I'm recommending here, first thing in the morning. You can do that, do those 5 minutes, and calm your mind, and then say your prayers, so to speak. Because calming the mind has nothing to do with whether you are a Buddhist or a non-Buddhist. It's a mind, and it is bombarded with thoughts. And as meditation helps one to see those thoughts subside, over time. with consistent practice, it helps one to get a little clearer in knowing what is what, and it should show after some practice, it should show, you should be able to recognize, well, this has happened, this is happening, as the case might be, and hopefully it will give you confidence to continue. So that is my wish for us for over this weekend, and I think I'll pause here for a little bit. It's 11:43. If there's anyone who wants to get a little something in, they're welcome to do that, even while I continue to speak. Because tomorrow, as I say, is a holiday. And we would like to wish everybody well. We would like to see everybody with their life today improve or come back to a situation where they can function more easily, where they can make a contribution towards society, towards the family and friends, and towards themselves. This of course things can happen to any of us at any time. One of the other reminders is that this has to do with impermanence now, which says that death comes to us at any time. I'm paraphrasing that, any time death can come, or an unfortunate incident might come. So with that, there are no callers, Charles, and no one is coming in. I want to leave us there for today and wish everyone a happy holiday. Recognize the group that is celebrating most of all the fact that they are here in Trinidad and doing as well as they are, and continuing to be an important fabric of the society. So with that, Sir Charles, I want to say happy holiday, and until we meet next week, Thursday, thank you, listeners, and goodbye for now.
Thank you very much, Cassie. And of course, people, this has been Exploring Buddhist Concepts with Cassie Senghor.
May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be happy. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be happy. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease.
Advertise with us on New Era TT Radio, the fastest growing streaming platform for talk in Trinidad and Tobago. Audio and video ads welcome. Elevate your brand with us. Connect with us at newerattradio@yahoo.com or call us at 299-5156. Now what are you waiting for?
Men, women, tired of the invasive, painful old methods of testing prostate and breasts?
The Institute of Health and Fitness Clinic and Wellness Center offers comprehensive and non-invasive diagnostic testing, which indicates the nature and extent of